What's cracking, Jack? It's week one of college football, and you're in the jungle. If you're looking to bet on any game involving any top 25 team this weekend, brother, you are in the right place. I'm going to break down every single game involving a top 25 team and give you a best bet for every single one of those games right here, right now. We've got a lot to get to. Let's work. Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And for joining us for the first time, welcome to the jungle, a breakdown and game for every game in college football this weekend involving a top 25 team coming right at you. And I'm going to leave two links for you in the comments section of this video. The first link is to my $5 favorite play of the week in week one of college football. And man, do I have a humdinger. It's a play I absolutely love. If I miss it, if you buy it for $5 and it doesn't hit, I'll give you next week for free. That's how confident I am in this play. The second link is to become a Jungle member, and for as little as 55 cents a day, you can get my full betting card text to your phone every single morning. Every play that I'm making, I cap MLB, NBA, NFL, college basketball, and college football. You also get access to our members-only Discord. We are the fastest-growing sports betting community in the Western Hemisphere. We have a free weekly trial. Take it for a test spin and see if it's for you. Today's full breakdown video is brought to you by Outlier.bet, the top name in sports betting research, and by Red Lobster, where every Wednesday your parole officer eats for free. Now, we've got a lot to get to, and we're going to have a good time doing it, but we are going to spend a little more time on the games that are more intriguing and less blowout-oriented. We're going to start in chronological order here and go with Thursday night's game. Number 25, Boise State at University of South Florida, USF, if you're into the whole brevity thing. Ashton Gentry is gone for the Broncos, but they have a lot of running back depth and an offensive line that was injured last year, but back together and healthy. USF ranked outside the top 100 defensively last year against the rush, and they're projected to do so again this season. Boise State brings back 67% of its production from last year, 13th in the FBS, and they're the only Mountain West team whose starters have a combined 200 snaps together coming in to this year. The USF offense is their strength, led by dynamic quarterback Byron Byram. They live and die by the big play, but Boise State's returning a lot of key tacklers and got a lot of secondary help in the transfer portal. I think this line is short, and I think Boise covers the 5.5 Thursday night. Number 1, Texas at number 3, Ohio State. Here we go. A lot of big storylines in this game. A big one, of course, is Ohio State lost 14 players to the NFL, including their quarterback and the core of their offensive and defensive lines. As good as the Buckeye program is, it could be a little bit bumpy the first couple of weeks with a lot of new pieces and key spots. And by the way, 2 new coordinators. Arch Manning, Texas quarterback, a lot of expectations. He's inexperienced, but he has played and he has started games. I think that the Texas roster is better. I think they're deeper. I think they can bully Ohio State on the offensive and defensive lines. They have big play wide receivers, and they're going to help Manning out. Texas has much more stability, and they're returning 62% of their defense, 31st of 136 teams. I think Texas wins this game outright, but I'm happy to take the 2.5 points with them. Syracuse at number 24, Tennessee. Syracuse returning just 37% of their offensive production, which is last in the ACC. LSU transfer quarterback Ricky Collins is an interesting piece for the Orange, but he's going to be surrounded by a lot of inexperienced offensive linemen. And Tennessee's raw size and defensive front and talent should overwhelm the Syracuse offense. Syracuse defense has returned some key pieces, and the Tennessee offense is somewhat uncertain with new quarterback play. Still up in the air, a little uncertainty with the Tennessee offense. They'll probably go with Appalachian State transfer Joey Aguilar, however. We have to wait and see what this Tennessee offense does. You know, there's some reasonable uncertainty there, but I think they're going to dominate the time of possession in this game. With this game against Syracuse, the Orange probably won't be able to move the ball whatsoever. I think the play in this game is laying the 14 points with the Vols at home. Nevada at number 2, Penn State. Penn State coming in a 43.5 point favorite. Now, we're going to make this one quick. Never lay 43.5 points in a football game, and also never take points with the team that you don't think can win the game outright. I don't think Nevada can here. No play is the play in this one, but if you are looking for some action, I would take the under. Marshall at number 5, Georgia. Georgia, a massive 39.5 point favorite. Not a question if Georgia wins, of course, but by how many. It's Gunnar Stockton's second start of his career, and the Bulldogs do have a lot of new pieces, including an all-new wide receiver core. That defense, though, as always, should be stout, and their defense should overwhelm a much smaller, much less talented Marshall offensive line. The only play in this game is the Marshall team total under. Old Dominion at number 20, Indiana. Indiana went 11-1 last year, but a soft schedule has critics wondering if they're for real. They're going to have to wait to prove that, though, because Old Dominion isn't much of a challenge. Dominion does have some good players and the personnel to pull off an upset or two throughout the season, but I don't think it happens here. If you're going to play it, I would lay it to 23.5 with the Hoosiers. South Dakota at number 22, Iowa State. South Dakota is a tough opponent. They're coming off an 11-3 season, and I think that if neither team had played already this season, this would be a little bit of a closer game, but Iowa State played in Dublin, as we know last week, and took care of business against Kansas State and looked good doing so. It matters so much in college football with teams having new pieces so often that you have a week to play together in a meaningful game. That's a huge advantage that the Cyclones hold here. Rocco Becht, Iowa State quarterback, is the real deal. The kid is just a winner. And their defense that was terrible against the run last season really stepped up against a very good Kansas State running team. They also held Avery Johnson in check as well. I think the Cyclones cover the 15.5 points in this game against South Dakota. Montana State at number 7, Oregon. Former Stanford quarterback Justin Lamson starting for the Bobcats. He played Oregon last year when he was a member of the Cardinal, and lost that game 42-6. Montana State is coming off a 15-1 season, went 8-0 in the Big Sky Conference, but this is a different animal up against Oregon, one of the best teams in the country. Ducks are a 27.5 point favorite here, and for good reason. They're bigger, stronger, more talented, more experienced at every position. Their defensive line was one of the best in college football last year, and it might be even better this season. Offensively, they lost Dylan Gabriel, and we'll see what happens with first-year starting quarterback Dante Moore. He's pretty dynamic as well. He should get a ton of help in the running game, however, with one of the most talented offensive lines in college football, and portal transfer halfback Mekhi Hughes, one of the best running backs in the country, and a very deep running room to go with Hughes. Teams like this at home usually cover by margin against inferior opponents like this. If you're going to play it, I'd lay it with the Ducks. Illinois State at number 18, Oklahoma. Oklahoma, a 33.5 point favorite here. Illinois State defense was pretty good last year, and they're returning an above average amount of players on the defensive side. And they may start the game strongly on defense, but I don't think they have the firepower in any way to match Oklahoma's side speed and depth. There's high expectations for the Sooners this year with Johnny Mateer at quarterback. 33.5 points is a lot to lay, though, against not a terrible defense. Let's identify the biggest mismatch on the field, and that's the Sooners' defense against the Illinois State offense, and take the Illinois State team total under. Long Island University, bless their heart, at Florida. Possibly the biggest mismatch on the board in week 1. This game should be over by halftime. We'll probably see a lot of backups playing for the Gators in the second half. That's probably the game plan here, is to get this game out of reach by halftime and get DJ Legway the rest that he needs in the second half. As you know, Legway's still dealing with a nagging leg injury. Let's bet on the Gators being able to execute that first half plan and take Florida minus the points in the first half. North Dakota at number 17, Kansas State. As I mentioned, it's a huge help to already have played a game against a team that hasn't played a game. And that's the case again with this game. Kansas State, of course, played in Dublin against Iowa State. The offense looked concerning to me, though, and Avery Johnson did not look good, and turnovers and offensive inconsistency were a big problem. North Dakota's returning a lot of talent, albeit not as talented as the Wildcats are, but 5 offensive linemen coming back, starting quarterback, and 2 top running backs. Kansas State wins this game, but I'm reluctant to lay the 25.5 points with the Wildcats. And I don't take a team with the points unless I think they have a chance to win the game outright. I think the play here is the under 55.5. UTSA at number 19, Texas A&M. The Aggies favored by 24.5, as they should be. UTSA was 0-6 last year on the road, and they're coming into Texas A&M where expectations are very high. Quarterback Marcel Reed is one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in college football. And now that he's the unquestioned starter, he'll be looking to make a statement in week 1 against a much inferior opponent. There was big hopes for the Aggies defense last season, and they fell short. Auburn and South Carolina exposed some holes in those defense, holes that hope to be plugged, though, from the transfer portal. I think the Aggies cover the spread in this game in week 1, and I think it's one of the best plays on the board. Give me Texas A&M laying the points. LSU, number 9 LSU at number 4 Clemson. Death Valley, Death Valley. Clemson favored by 3.5. Two of college football's best quarterbacks going at it here. Garrett Nussmeier against Cade Klubnik. Clemson is returning 80%. This is so crucial. Clemson is returning 80% of last year's production, the most of any team in college football. And I hate to state the obvious here, but home field matters in these kind of games. Clemson is one of the toughest places to play in the country. But Clemson has struggled against the SEC. They lost their last 3 SEC matchups last season. 2 great quarterbacks, 2 great offenses. Both these teams are absolutely loaded with talent. But I do think the difference here will be the Clemson defense. I have Clemson ranked 3rd in the country defensively behind Alabama and Texas. Peter Woods and TJ Parker are 2 top 10 defensive players in the country, and I have their secondary ranked 4th. The better defense and home field tips the scales for me. Give me Clemson laying the 3.5. New Mexico at number 14, Michigan. Michigan giving up 36.5 points here. I'm not in a hurry to lay that kind of points with the Wolverines offense, but they do have an elite defense with NFL talent at every level of their defense. Let's isolate the biggest mismatch on the field here and take the Wolverines defense against the New Mexico offense and take the New Mexico team total under. Arkansas Pine Bluff at number 23, Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's a top 10 defense in the country, and they raided the transfer portal and built up one of the best defensive lines in college football. Linebacker Jacob Rodriguez is a top 5 linebacker in college football, in my opinion, as well. Look at Arizona Pine Bluff's last 5 games. They include a 41-3 loss to Jackson State and a 31-3 loss to Southern University. I think this is going to be an absolute smashing, but again, too many points to lay for comfort. Let's back one of the best defenses in the country and take Arkansas Pine Bluff team total under. Arkansas Pine Bluff team total under. Number 8, Alabama at Florida State. Florida State has an upgrade at the quarterback position with former Boston College Golden Eagle Thomas Castellanos transferring to the Seminoles. Ty Simpson, 5-star pedigree but not a lot of experience, starting for Alabama. Alabama is expected to be fantastic this season. They're loaded up and deep at every single position. I have their defense currently ranked 2nd overall. And I think offensively, they have the receivers that should give the FSU secondary fits. I think all in all, Alabama is way too big, fast, and talented for Florida State. And I think Castellanos, although a great athlete, playing against an SEC team here is going to be a little bit too small. I think the Crimson Tide cover the 13.5 spread against the Seminoles. Georgia State against number 21, Ole Miss. Ole Miss, a 35.5 point favorite in this game. The Running Rebels offense expected to take a few steps back after losing Jackson Dart to the draft. So there are some question marks offensively that we'll eventually find out the answer to. For week 1, though, let's stay with known commodities, and that's the Ole Miss defense that I currently have ranked 15th against a very inferior offense in Georgia State. Let's take the Georgia State team total under. East Texas at number 16, SMU. Kevin Jennings, SMU quarterback, one of the best signal callers in the sport. East Texas was 3-9 last year, and they lost their best player on defense, Kyrie Anderson, who had 125 tackles. They're returning good production at the front 7, but their secondary is full of holes, which is going to be a huge problem against Jennings and that SMU offense that loves to pass the ball. SMU lost a lot on defense as well, but there's a lopsided mismatch here. The SMU offense against the East Texas defense. Let's take the SMU team total over. Northern Arizona at number 11, Arizona State. Ryan Leavitt returns as Sun Devils quarterback with high expectations. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country and has a lot of weapons he can throw to. Arizona State led the Big 12 defensively against the rush last season, and they're returning 9 starters on the defensive side of the ball. The Sun Devils are 28.5 point favorites, and that's too much to lay week 1, in my opinion, with this team. Right now, best bet here, Arizona State team total over. Virginia Tech at number 13, South Carolina. Super intriguing game, in my opinion. Gamecocks were a 7.5 point favorite. 2 dual threat quarterbacks, 2 good defenses. Virginia Tech underachieved last season, and South Carolina poured it on hard toward the end of the year and became a viable threat to anyone they played. I don't think this game will be a nail-biter, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout either. I do think that South Carolina, toward the end of the game, fourth quarter, with their depth and defensive line and home field advantage, will start to pull away and win this game by probably 10. I lay the 7.5 with the Gamecocks. And we get to number 6 Notre Dame at number 10 Miami. We know about Notre Dame's defense. We know about Jeremiah Love. We know about the Notre Dame offensive line. But the difference in this game to me will be the difference in experience between Miami quarterback Carson Beck and C.J. Carr for Notre Dame, who's making his first career start in Miami against what will be a very hostile crowd. The most concerning thing about Carr to me is that he didn't really win the quarterback job convincingly in camp. It was neck and neck until the very end. And I can see a scenario where he struggles on the road in Miami where they make the switch early. C.J. Carr has appeared in just one game, and he's never thrown one single pass in college football. I'm not saying he can't get it straightened out eventually, but it's going to be an incredibly difficult time in week 1 with this crowd against one of the most experienced quarterbacks in college football, and Carson Beck, who now he didn't have really good receivers at all last year at Georgia. He's got some weapons, new pieces, but weapons to throw to in Miami. I think that the Canes win this game outright at home, but I'm happy to take them with the 2.5 points. Let me know in the comment section your favorite college football plays of the week, and also let me know if you like this breakdown of all 25 top 25 teams, breakdowns of their games, or you prefer more in-depth analysis of just maybe 5 or 6. Thanks always for the support, Jungle Nation, and I will see you next time with a little more money in your pocket.